Welcome, everybody, to the Geek Dad Report versus the NFL. I'm Brian West.
And I'm Ryan Thomason.
And this week, we are going to be breaking down all the wild card games of our special playoff edition. The first one of, 4, 5? I don't know how many weeks there is. 4 weeks?
Is it 4 weeks?
It is 4 weeks.
This weekend.
Wild card, division, championship, and then Super Bowl.
Yeah,
so, the first of 4 playoff edition specials of the Geek Dad Report, which is why I've enlisted my wonderful co-hosts. We have teamed up together.
Yes.
Because
usually we do this separate. I bring in some guests. Brian will bring in nobody because he's very confident.
Right.
So.
Why am I talking about myself in the third person? I've been very focused this year because my picks have been nailing every week. We didn't get a final tally, but it was a lot to your very little.
When your lead got so far ahead, I just stopped keeping track.
Yeah,
so.
Last week was a bad week for me, and I still went. I think I went 9 games, right?
Yeah, I did not.
Yeah, and it was a bad. Well, to be fair to you, who knew that every team was gonna bench every single starter?
Well, some teams even played the starter.
Seattle. We decided to roll everybody out there and win a meaningless game. But you know what? I would like to say thank you, Seattle, because that game was not meaningless to me. Even though we'd already locked up the 5th seed and we could do no better. Pete Carroll knew. He watches our show and he said, you know what, there's a little bet that Brian and Ryan have made. And since he saw that the Steelers had won, and if the Hawks would have lost, I would have lost the bet.
Yes.
He said, Brian, I don't care about the playoffs. I don't care about the health of our starters. I care about you. And he went out there, and goddamn it, he took care of business and beat the terrible Arizona Cardinals.
Let's just remind you, though, they barely took care of business.
That is irrelevant, Ryan. That is completely irrelevant. Nobody cares about any of that at all.
So that would mean that Seahawks were 10-6, and the Steelers were 9-6-1. So technically, I do lose.
Not technically, it was whichever's team. Okay, so refresh anybody who didn't watch from the very, very beginning when we did our prediction show. Me and Ryan had a little side bet. I said my Seahawks were going to do better than his Steelers. He said I was full of it, and he asked me to put my money where my mouth is. And I said, I'm not betting you money. Let's do something fun. And we decided that whoever's team had the better record and season would be the winner, and the loser would have to do the show. Well, we said the final show, but we're going to do it tonight. This show completely topless. So, Ryan, since your stupid Steelers crashed and burned like I predicted, and my Seattle Seahawks went 10-6, which is a half a game better, and we made the playoffs, something your team did not do. Woohoo! Take it off, Ryan. Take it all off. Everybody's been waiting for this moment. Everybody wants to see your hairless, small child chest. Let's do it.
Do I at least need some music or something?
We have no music. We can't afford that kind of budget. Okay, here we go. Doot, 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 doot. There we go. My milkshake brings all the boys to the yard. Ooh, yeah! That's right. Man, you need some hair. You need like a chia pet mix on your chest. Did you do some?
Someday I'm going to grow some hair on my chest. This is all natural.
Have you been? Yeah, right. You probably shave it.
I don't.
Probably wax it. Look at that freshly waxed
I can grow a full beard. I can grow this, but I don't grow anything over here or anything over there.
I don't want to shame you, but I can tell you've been working at a government job. You might need to do some.
I did a lot of push-ups.
Maybe some chin-ups.
So I was just doing push-ups.
Man, it looks cold over there. I want you to know that. I was thinking of you, and I put on this nice, warm Seattle Seahawks hoodie. I'm going to put it on. Oh, so nice and toasty.
It's like below 30 degrees outside, and we keep our house at 62.
Is that why you're nipping? I just thought you were happy to see me.
Yeah, so it's a good thing you guys are not seeing from the nipples down.
Me and Ryan did have a very interesting conversation about the camera angles of what we were going to use, and we decided that here up, we didn't want to lose all of our viewers. We just wanted to have a little fun.
Yeah, I think that if I showed nipple, YouTube might put us in some kind of weird category.
Well, we definitely couldn't post anything on Instagram. They'd ban us immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, well. Well, you know what, Ryan? I give you props for being a good sport and not welching on the bet. And I know both of us were I guess before we get into our picks, if you guys don't already know, this show, we like to make predictions for the games of the week, and we're going to do that in a minute. But before we get to that, we're going to recap kind of Week 17 a little bit. And since being right here together, that means a lot of Seahawks and Steelers talks. So when you're watching your Steelers game, Ryan, what were you thinking more about? Were you thinking more about the playoffs or the shirtless bet? Let's be honest.
I was thinking more about the playoffs. The bet was the lowest thing I had to worry about. I kept flipping between the Steelers and the Browns game.
Oh my God.
Just hoping somehow the Browns wouldn't fuck it up. But
listen, as a Seahawks fan, I like that my team went out there and really competed and won. I wanted to go into the playoffs 10-6. I'm not thrilled how hard it was against the Cardinals. But for those of you who do not know, the Cardinals always win in Seattle. This is the first time in 3 years that the home team has won the game in that rivalry. So we have not swept Arizona in 4 years. This is the first time. They always play us tough. And even though they're the worst team in football, that is still one of those games. And you could probably attest to this. Even when Cleveland was bad, sometimes those games would come down to the wire.
I mean, and even Cincinnati game was close the whole first half.
You guys had to win that game to even have a shot at the playoffs, and Cincinnati still came this close to beating you guys.
That's just the nature of division games, unless you're the New England Patriots, where you're in the shittiest division in football, and you don't really. And those are just like 6 wins you get to automatically notch onto.
We are not talking about the Patriots at all this entire night, okay? Because fuck the Patriots and their easy ass. Everybody's celebrating their 10 division conferences in a row or titles in a row, whatever. Just playing a real division, then come talk to us. But I want you to know, but back to what I was saying is, while you were watching your team, hopefully trying to get to the playoffs, I swear I was solely only watching because I wanted to win this fucking bet.
I appreciate it.
Holly, my wife is looking at me going, why are you... She's like, I mean, I want the Hawks to win too, but why are you so... I'm just like, yeah! I'm out there like, Janikowski, you better not screw me on this! Janikowski.
We got to know that deep down inside, though, Brian, you really did want him to be the shirtless one.
Well, I mean, I've got
real
sweet tattoos and I'm just a taco meat all up in here. It looks great.
Yes.
But you guys will never know. You'll never know. We'll see. Maybe we'll see. Maybe at some point.
Maybe we'll just get really drunk and we'll do
a shirtless episode? Yeah, I don't think so. I don't know. What do you want to talk about? Do you want to talk about Week 17? Is there anything we want to talk about? I mean, we could spend a whole episode talking about the implosion of the Steelers. I definitely think that they were the most talented team that decided to not make the playoffs this year.
The Green Bay Packers?
No, the other team that you root for, the Pittsburgh Steelers.
No, I want to talk about how the Green Bay Packers just shit on their whole season.
So we're done. No, I'm not going to rub salt in the wound. I don't want to be that guy. You already lost the bet. You're not in the playoffs. The Seattle Seahawks, you have to admit all year long that the Seattle Seahawks are the much better and superior team to the Pittsburgh Steelers.
I was looking so good when the Steelers were 7-2-1, and you guys were like 7-5 or something.
And you got real fat and cocky on your 2 legs there, Ryan. Just talking shit. Like, oh, Seahawks are going down in flames. Ryan, as Pete Carroll says, you can't win in the first quarter. You can't win in the second quarter. You can't win in the third quarter. But you can win in the fourth quarter, Ryan. Yes.
I can't tell how many times this season where I would be texting you and you'd be like, fucking heart attack Hawks, we're at it again.
That's what we do, just man.
Like fourth quarter down by 3.
I think we're ready for a playoff run too. We're going to talk about that in a second. But I don't know, anything else stand out to you? So I mean, you had the Steelers. I mean, I feel like there was some just mercy killings. So some teams were put out of their misery the Week 17. The Packers, like you said, one of them. Just a terrible season. You got probably the greatest quarterback maybe in the history of the NFL, and you just irrelevant. I mean, how does that even happen?
Well, and gets his third concussion.
Yeah, what is he? 36 too? It's not like he's getting younger.
Yeah.
If I'm Green Bay, I am not feeling good about my future, my franchise's future. But Green Bay fans tend to be a little delusional, so I'm sure they're probably all ready for next season. Super Bowl or bust.
Oh, yeah. Just gut the whole team and restart over.
No coach. You're going to have to gut the whole team. Quarterback's going to be 37 coming off his third concussion. But, hey, Super Bowl or bust. Here we go, Packers. Here we go.
Well, it doesn't seem like Ben Roethlisberger's retiring anytime soon. So,
God. The drama in that team, I don't know. They've got one more year before they got to blow that whole thing up. Antonio Brown is demanding a trade again. What is that guy's deal?
Oh, he wasn't. When was that? Today?
Yeah, apparently. So Mike Tomlin in his exit interviews, so he's doing his hey, end of the year, we're not in the playoffs, and he's interviewing. Antonio Brown is doing live reaction videos, making fun of Tomlin's exit speech.
I haven't honestly, I haven't even looked at Twitter or anything.
You should check that out, because that is not a good look for your team. Let me tell you. And apparently Big Ben and Antonio Brown next year count $55 million against the cap together. So good luck. You'll have $7 left to spend on the rest of your players. So we'll see. Pittsburgh might be in a little bit of trouble. Your window, unfortunately, I think is closing very fast.
Yeah, and we're going to have to start paying Juju some big money because
you need to draft a quarterback. I don't know how much longer Big Ben. I mean, Big Ben did have a really good season. I think he was the leading passer this year, honestly, for yards. Yeah. So he had a good season.
And they had the least amount of sacks in 10 years or something like that. So,
and I mean, I'll say this though. He always, if you listen to him, he's always one hit away from retirement every single time he gets hit.
Yeah. If he goes down and he stays down, you're like, oh, that's it. He's done.
He's done. If he has a bad game, I just might hang it up. I just don't know. God, you got a whole bunch of prima donna. You need an alpha male on that team to just get everybody in line and drag them around and be like, all right, listen here. Yeah. Big Ben, stop crying. Stop crying.
I'm going to call you Big Baby Ben. You like that?
Oh, you going to cry, Big Baby Ben? You going to cry? They come out to bring out like a cart, and he just pushes them off the carts and makes them walk back to the sideline. That's what the Steelers need. They just need some mean enforcer.
Yes.
Probably a tackle or something. Somebody just so big and nasty and slaps him around a lot.
That sounds good to me.
Puts pacifiers in his locker, makes him cry all the time.
Yes, I think if we start doing that, we'll start winning.
Oh, God. Who's your running back that held out all year?
Maybe we won't lose to Oakland, who's deliberately trying to tank.
Yeah, who's your running back who held out all year? I don't even remember his name. He has been out of the league for so long. Bell. He just shows up at Bell's house on game day with a big pickup truck. He's like, get in the truck, Bell. This isn't an op. He just yanks his whole front house of his, pulls his full front of his house off. Come on, Bell, game time. Doesn't let him hold out. I don't know, whatever. But all right, anybody else we want to talk about before we get to this week's picks?
Nah, I think let's just dive into the picks.
Any other storylines? Real quick, we haven't really talked about it. Who's your MVP? So a couple little things for the regular season. Who's your NFL MVP this year? Who do you got? I think it's kind of Mahomes or Breeze is kind of the two.
I don't know. I mean, I kind of feel like Phillip Rivers, maybe.
Can I throw a dark horse name in the hat?
Yeah. Oh, God.
Russell Wilson!
You know what?
Look at this guy. Number 3, number 1 on our hearts.
I feel like you brought that up just so you could do that.
What? I would never plan such strategery and traps. No. Obvious traps, pitfalls. No, I'd probably have to give it to Breeze. I think Mahomes had a better season, but judging from the Carolina Panthers New Orleans game, if you sit Drew Brees, the other team beat you by 50. Even though you can't play defense anymore if you don't have a quarterback. I don't know how that works, but
how old is Drew Brees? He's like
38, 37, and he's never won the MVP before. So if anything, I would say I would give it to Mahomes, but I feel like this is going to be one of those lifetime achievement awards. So I think Brees is going to get the MVP.
Wait, didn't Drew Brees win it on the NFL season or the
he's
Super
never
Bowl
won the MVP.
Oh, I thought he won in the Super Bowl season they had.
Who do you think's going to win defensive MVP? It should be all bullshit aside. It should be Bobby Wagner. That dude is insanely good, but I'm sure it'll be Aaron Donald.
Yeah, probably
because he's LA market. He had 18 sacks or 19 sacks or some stupid crazy number. That dude is a freak show. What about offensive rookie of the year?
Rookie of the year?
You're gonna give it. So you have two clear candidates: either Saquon Barkley or Slappy in Cleveland.
The Baker Mayfield. I think maybe give it to Baker Mayfield. I mean, what they were able to achieve at the Browns this year was.
I think he's a quarterback. Personally,
in the last 7 seasons.
I think I'd give it to Saquon, considering Odell Beckham has only played 4 games this year, and there's literally a corpse playing quarterback for the Giants. Like, he died 6 years ago, and everybody knows that all they have is Barkley, and he's still racked up like 2,200 all-purpose yards.
Yeah, he did do really good, and he is the future of their franchise.
Yeah, I think Baker Mayfield is going to have plenty of time to win lots of awards because I think Cleveland has a legit chance to go to the Super Bowl in the next 3 years.
I'm going to just be honest that in my division, if the Steelers don't figure some crap out, it's going to be tough to win a division with this. I mean, I'm not too concerned about Cincinnati, but
I'm making an early pick next year. I'm going to say right now Cleveland's going to win your division next year. They looked so good. Baltimore had no business winning that game. Real quick, and I want to go back for a second. How hard was it as a Steelers fan to root for the Browns to win, knowing deep in your heart that they were still going to screw you?
Well, it's not as hard because I always root against the Ravens.
Yeah,
but
that's true.
To be rooting for the Browns, my son and I were watching it, and we were totally into it. And then when he threw the interception, he like picked up a pillow and he chucked it. He's like, "Dang it, Browns!" He was.
And he'll hate the Browns literally forever for now until eternity. But yeah, so I don't know. Defensive Rookie of the Year, I think it's going to go. I forget the name, but it's probably going to that linebacker out of Indianapolis. That dude's been a monster. He's had like 120 tackles or something crazy.
Yeah, he's been doing good. I wouldn't be surprised if he didn't get it.
Yeah, it's too bad Chubb. If he wasn't so good, I think Chubb out of Denver's had a monster year too. The defensive end, I think he had like 10 or 11 sacks, which is pretty good. So for a rookie, anyway, all right, that's our. As you can tell on this show, we don't really know much about anything, so that's our 2 bits about who's going to win the MVPs.
We know about our teams very well.
All right, that is true. Well, time to move on, I guess. We'll talk about this week's games since we mostly have spent 16 minutes rambling about nothing. But, all right. The good news is one of us, Ryan, have a team in the playoffs. Do you know who that is, Ryan? Do you know who it is?
It's not the Steelers, that's for sure.
It's not the Steelers, but guess who it is? This guy. Seahawks.
The Seahawks.
Real quick, we like to give a small disclaimer before we get into our games. We are not officially, official? Is that a sentence? We don't know what the fuck we're talking about most of the time. We like to watch football and run our mouths, me especially, and pretend like we know what we're talking about. So if you want to listen to our advice and bet real money on our picks, do so at your own risk. We are not liable if you take all our picks and they all crash and burn. As you can tell, there's one person on the show who is naked because he doesn't know football at all. So,
enough football, Brian.
That being said, if you do bet
I got
money,
cut here on my chest.
Quit rubbing your nipples. What are you doing? This is a professional show. That being said, if you do bet a lot of money and based on our picks and win a whole bunch, you should definitely give us some. So let us know if you won money, and we'll tell you what our cut is.
Yes, and I would just have to say that we do demand at least 10%. I think
I think that's a fair number. And if you win on all of our picks, we should get at least 20. I will say real quick, not to toot my own horn here, but in our first show of the season, we made some predictions, and I'd like to point out which ones I got right. One, I said the Cowboys will win their division, and Philly would go in as a wild card. I said the Rams would win the division, and the Seahawks would go in as a wild card. I said the Saints were going to win their division.
So that would be 4 out of the team so far.
I'm not done. I said the Saints would win the division. I said, who else? What other conferences is there? I did say the Vikings would win their division. I had no faith in the Bears, so I lost that one. I also said I did say Cincinnati was going to win, but I should get credit for saying that Steelers were not going to win. But whatever.
I think a lot of people thought Cincinnati was going to have a way better season than they did.
I said New England was going to win. They won. Shocker. We're not putting that one out there. I did whiff on Kansas City. You said you picked Kansas City. I picked the Chargers. So they were the top 2 teams in the AFC, though. I'll give them that one. And then I did say the Texans were going to win their division. So
yeah, and we will be talking about the Texans very shortly.
So I'm going to toot my own horn on that one. How many did you get right? Do you remember?
I got everyone but the Steelers right. That's what I remember.
I'm going to say that that's probably not true. But, all right, so moving on. Playoffs. Here we go. We're going to start with the Saturday games, and we'll go all the way through. We're not going to save the Seahawks game till last.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I decided to go. I decided that, you know what? I've done enough humble bragging as it is. I don't need to keep talking about my beloved Seattle Seahawks, best team in the NFL, about how, like, they went 9-7. Everybody said they were done last year, and they said that we were going to rebuild. But based on the power of the 12s right here, the fan base, we're like this. We're like a symbiotic relationship, and we willed Pete Carroll back into the playoffs after 1 year of missing. We didn't even have a losing record. We went 9-7 last year and blew up the team, and now we're 10-6. We're right back in it, and we're probably going to win the Super Bowl. I'm just going to say that right now. I predicted him to win the Super Bowl early on. Actually, I did predict him to go 10-6 and take a wild card spot. So, just saying.
You're on a roll so far.
Yeah, we should call this episode Brian Brax.
Can you keep that roll going?
All right, come on. Here we go. First game of the week, Saturday. Like we said, there's 2 on Saturday, 2 on Sunday. 1 o'clock game, I think at 1:10. The Colts, specific time, people, the right time. The Colts are heading to Houston to play the Texans. What do you think about this game?
You know, I'm really not too interested in this game. I mean,
I could give a shit less about this game.
Yeah, it's whoever wins this game is gonna get to lose to the New England Patriots in the next round.
I do not know how the Texans won 11 games this year. Their team is not that good. The Colts were like 1 or 2-5, I think, and then they went 10-6. That's impressive. I'm not even gonna lie. So, unless you got a lot to say, the Texans' offensive line is a disaster. The only offensive weapon they have besides Deshaun Watson is Deshaun Jackson. I don't know.
Yeah.
Is that who I'm thinking of? No, it's not Deshaun Jackson. It's who's their big wide receiver who's like the best receiver in the game?
I don't know. I don't know anything about the Texans.
God almighty. I could have said his name was Tim Tebow and you just would have went with it.
It was Georgie McGeorgieton.
Whatever. Watson has one person to throw to, and he's really good, and all you got to do is cover him, and they have no other offensive weapons. Deshaun Watson has been sacked like 30 times a game. The Colts defense isn't very good, but Andrew Luck is really, really good, and like we said, they've won 9 out of their last 10 games. So, yeah. Hey, that's saying something. I'm going to say that the Colts, as you could tell, this is real. We did a lot of research. This is real insight. You know, I'm going to remember the names later. Whatever.
We'll backfill the names then.
The Texans have a better defense, but I think Colts are going to get it done. I think Andrew Luck is really hot right now, and I think they're going to go into Houston and win this game.
I'm going to have to go with the exact opposite, Brian, and I'm going to say that Houston is going to pull off some weird, miraculous BS, and they're going to overcome the Colts and then lose to the New England Patriots in the next round.
D'Anthony Hopkins. God, I knew it. I was close. Hopkins. How did I forget Hopkins? He's only the best receiver in the NFL.
Yes.
So you're taking the Texans, really?
Yeah, I'm going to take the Texans. I think they're just going to pull up an upset.
All right. Moving on.
Neither of these teams should be in the playoffs, but they are.
They both earned the right to be in the playoffs. They both played tough. I mean, the Texans did beat up on a lot of shitty teams. They ended up weak schedule, but hey, they won their games. They won their conference or their division, and they're there. So, all right, next up is the game of the century. At least weekend. Definitely the best game of Saturday.
At a field?
I'm going to say this is going to be the best game of the weekend. I'm just calling that right now. The Seattle Seahawks, the team of destiny, my beloved, beautiful. Pull out all the props. Seattle Seahawks are heading to the hated Dallas Cowboys. If everybody in America outside of Dallas can agree on one thing, it's that we all hate the Cowboys and want the Seattle Seahawks because they're the football Jesus' team. Like literally, we had football Jesus play quarterback for us, Charlie Whitehurst, and they want Seattle to win. So because we have Russell Wilson, St. Wilson.
Just look at what's the Cowboys' playoff record. I don't think they've won a playoff game in like 10 years, right?
They haven't beaten us in the playoffs, I'll tell you that. Well, they probably have. I don't know. I just don't remember any time. Actually, I think they beat us a couple weeks ago or a couple years ago. But whatever. All I know is Russell Wilson does not lose primetime games because he's great. And who do you trust more? Jason Garrett and the Cowboys, or Russell Wilson and Pete Carroll?
Will Pete Carroll be chewing gum?
Pete Carroll has 17 packs of gum in his back pocket at all times.
I want to know how much gum does he go through in a game?
A lot of gum. But honestly, this should be a really good game. Both teams kind of like to play the same style of offense. A lot of play action, strong running games. They actually have similar defense. Statistically speaking, if you look at them, they're pretty similar. Seattle actually scores more points a game than the Cowboys do, but the Cowboys defense tends to be a little bit stronger. However, they did just give up 34 points to the Giants.
Yes, but we did say the Giants probably had the rookie of the year, so
that's true. But I don't know. I think it's a well matched team. Vegas has Seattle Cowboys by 1 point. Usually you get 3 points for being at home, which means they do believe Seattle is going to beat the Cowboys. And I'm gonna stick with Vegas on this one. I'm saying Seattle is going to go into Dallas and they are going to they're going to beat the Cowboys on the road.
Brian, I'm sorry to burst your bubble.
Oh my God, here it comes.
I'm just gonna have to say I'm gonna have to go with the Seahawks on this one.
Oh.
I think the Cowboys got it in them this year. I just don't see it. The Seahawks they pulled off too many weird ass victories this year, and
we're that team.
Us in the playoffs.
We're the team that doesn't win pretty. At the end of the game, you're like, how the hell did they win? They fumbled 5 times. They had 6 punt blocks. They missed 7 field goals, and somehow they still won 28-27. And they were down by 3 touchdowns with 4 minutes left to go. That's the magic. That's the magic.
Every time my Facebook timeline, my Twitter timelines for the first 3 quarters of every Seahawks game, it's just like tears and anger and frustration, and then everybody's really excited in the 4th quarter. So
that's when Russell Wilson does his best work and shines like a diamond.
So I'm just going to have to agree with you. I'm just going to say Seattle's going to pull off some 4th quarter miracle.
All right, let's do it. I think it'll be close, though. I would not bet money on this. It's going to be probably a field goal. We're going to be a last-second Janikowski wobbler that knuckles in, goes left, goes right, and somehow drops in for the win. All right, those are the Saturday games. Sunday games, first up, we have San Diego. The Los Angeles of San Diego Chargers are heading to Baltimore to play the we can't throw the ball ever Ravens and their Wildcat offense. So their quarterback, Tavares Jackson, part 2, has thrown the ball 3 times all season.
So when he's on the field, they should expect him to be running. I don't understand why
Lamar Jackson?
This out.
It's Lamar Jackson, right? I don't watch AFC crappy football. Lamar Jackson, he's a talented runner. He doesn't throw a terrible ball, but he's not exactly the premier passer. But he passes just enough to keep defenses on their toes, and Baltimore has the second best defense in the league, which they rely on a lot for turnovers, and then they just smash it down your throat. The Chargers are a very good team. I do not think playing on the road will hurt them, but they are built to beat teams that like to pass the ball. They have great secondaries. They have great corners. They have great speedy linebackers. They are not particularly strong up front on the defensive line, and their offense is not particularly front on the offensive line. They are designed to pass on you and have high-scoring games. Baltimore takes away your high-score ability to score and smashes it down your throat. So I do not think the Chargers are going to be able to beat Baltimore. They went into Baltimore to play them with everything, with the division on the line, and the Ravens pretty much slapped them around. I do not think anything's going to be different this time around. I think the Baltimore Ravens are going to beat the Chargers.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on that one, Brian. I think Baltimore Ravens are a big pile of steaming crap, especially when it comes to the playoffs. They had one good year where they made it to the Super Bowl. Then they paid Joe Flacco a dump truck full of money, and he hasn't done anything for them since. So the San Diego, LA, whatever the hell Chargers they are.
Yeah, whatever. I got a question. How much of this has to do with actual analysis, and how much has to do with how much you hate them because they are your division winners?
My pick is on pure hatred.
And fair enough, man. You know what?
Whatsoever. This is a pure. The Browns should have won that game. unless they got that stupid interception.
If some weird freak of nature happens and like the entire Seattle team bus flips over and Russell Wilson breaks both his legs and the Cowboys somehow win that game, I will root for whoever is playing the Cowboys. I'll tell you that right now. So I feel your pain. It's okay. It's okay to be a little hatred, feel the hate flow through you, Ryan. All right, and our last game before we get out of here, the Eagles, I don't know how the hell they made the playoffs, Eagles, are traveling to Chicago to play one of the nastiest defense that we've seen in the NFL since the 2012 Seattle Seahawks.
Well, I'll tell you how they made it, and they made it in because of Nick Foles. That was the only reason. He's magic.
That dude only shows up in December.
Yeah, disclaimer, I live in Philadelphia, and I hear a lot about...
I don't know who to take in this one, to be honest with you. I mean, Philly's got a tough defense, and Foles just has weird magic. But Chicago's defense is insane. Like, we didn't talk about Coach of the Year. It should go to John Gruden because he single-handedly put two different teams in the playoffs. With the Amani Cooper trade, he put Dallas in the playoffs.
Amani Cooper and Khalil Mack.
Khalil Mack, he put the Bears in the playoffs. So, that's impressive.
The Bears
I don't know.
Giving us the one thing that we were missing. So.
I think the Bears are going to win this handily, but you know what? I think the Eagles have some weird, funky magic, and if Seattle wants to host a playoff game, I believe we need the Eagles to win to do that. So I'm going to say, I believe it because it's science and true. I'm going to say somehow the Eagles are going to pull up some weird upset, and I don't trust Trubisky, so I'm going to say the Bears are getting knocked out.
See, this is a tough one for me because I want to say the same thing. I just have a weird gut feeling that Philadelphia is going to somehow just edge it out, even though they shouldn't, by all means.
All logic says that the Bears should win this handily. Yeah, they're the biggest favorite. They're the biggest favorite of the weekend. Vegas has them, I think, as a 5 or 6 point favorite.
Yeah, by all the games of this weekend, this is like the one that should be like the biggest gimme.
Which means it's going to... I mean, hey, the Hawks, Cowboys could go either way. Colts, Texans could go either way. Chargers, Ravens could go either way. This game should not go either way. It should be the Bears all over them, which is definitely why the Eagles are going to win. So, like I said, I'm taking the Eagles. Who's your pick, Ryan? Right now, who do you got?
I'm going to go with the Bears just so I can have an opposite pick from you.
All right, there you go. Okay, so you took the Texans. I took the Colts. We both took the Seahawks. You took the Chargers. I took the Ravens. I took the Eagles. You took the Bears. We'll see how we're doing next week, and maybe we'll have another shirtless bet so you can be naked for the Super Bowl.
And I will be wearing a shirt next time.
Yeah, he will be. So if he scared you away, whatever. That is all our picks for this week. Hopefully you were like me and have a team in the playoffs. It makes it much more fun. If not, you can Ryan starting a support group for...
Yes.
Sad
if you
fans.
Would send me a tweet at Big Bruiser on Twitter, and you can send me a DM, and you can put your head on my shoulder.
Yeah. What's the name of the group? Underachieving Butthurt Fans. Is that how it? Underachieving Butthurt Fans of teams that suck.
It's way more classy than that, Brian.
What is it?
It is Ravens and Browns can eat a big pile of steam and poop.
All right, well, on that note, thank you for joining us for Wildcard Weekend. We'll be back next week. Hopefully I'll be happy and not crying tears of sadness, and Ryan will make fun of me. But we'll be back next week for our divisional round picks. And until next time, everybody, stay awesome and go Hawks! Woo-hoo-hoo!
And
Seahawks!
I have nothing to celebrate. I'm just...
Magic Man! Russell Wilson.
Steelers next year.
Whatever. All right, guys. Until next time, go Hawks.